Hello, welcome to Soul Strategic Playthroughs. My name is Jeff, and today I am continuing my Stonesaga campaign. I'm still on the first challenge, and if you haven't watched part one of the video, I suggest you check that out first, because I'm going to be picking up right where I left off with the beginning of day 7. So when we last left off, the intrepid and indomitable pair of Hansl and Gretel had begun exploring this valley. They haven't gotten very far. They've just explored the initial area, but we completed a bunch of goals. They managed to erect an outpost. They've begun building structures. We made a friend with an animal here, learned the secrets of herbalism, all stuff going on. We've made a bunch of items. I don't actually have everything in the right slots right now. As I said, I've kind of got this area blocked off in the middle. But these are actually all pouch slots. So 4 pouch slots currently for Hansl and 1 hand item. A couple of hand items for Gretel. As we get into the day, you can see they both already got their food. So we're not going to have to worry too much about that this round. But yeah, I'm pretty well along the way. And I did kind of peek ahead just to see... this is a challenge where I don't have to slow play it. Once I finish it, I can keep going. So that being the case, I do want to build myself up a bit more. There's other things I want to try. I want to try the delving mechanic. And I would also like to try hunting. Not a predator, but hunting some game. And before I do either of those things, a couple more things I want to build. And so we will start off. For my first action, I am going to have... Hansl do the craft action, and I'm going to see if I can make a rope. Now, if you don't want to know the exact recipe, I'm not going to say it out loud, so this is your chance to look away. Not a very complicated one here. This is what I'm going for. Let's see what happens. And success. I have managed to intuit the right recipe to create some rope that'll hopefully help me when I delve down into the dark. And now we're going to take a look and see what the item does. So you can see here, I have successfully crafted some rope. This is a great item for Gretel, who has a 6 might score. So when she's traveling, a really good chance that I can avoid having to spend energy. I'm going to pass that rope over to Gretel, so she's got it, and she's probably the one I'm going to send on the delve when we get to it. But before we do that, I'm going to try and do some more crafting. I am now going to see if I can make a bow that Hansl can use when he's hunting. And I have some thoughts on this. I feel like I know what the components of a bow should be. I feel like you need strong components. So I'm going to show you. I will have this time Gretel spend the energy, and now I'm going to show you what I'm putting together. Here is my combination of materials, and the result is another successful craft. I have made a wooden bow. So let's take a look at that. You can see here the bow is a hand item, which interestingly in and of itself doesn't do anything. It says, and that actually makes sense, it's a weapon, and I can't use another weapon with it, but when using with a dexterity test, which is usually what you're doing to hunt game, I can use an arrow item. So I guess that means I'm going to have to figure out how to craft an arrow. I have a pretty good idea of what needs to go into that. In order to do some more crafting, and I also still want to try and make flint, so I have another way of making fire, not to mention if I want to build the fire pit, I need some kind of igniting tool. So I'm going to go ahead and combine. I will have Gretel do it, spending her second energy. I'm going to scrape 2 stones together to convert that. I'll use my pick, along with the fire I've got in my terrain, as a tool that allows me to harden the wood, and then I'll use my flaked river stone to cut this feather. Spending Gretel's third energy, let's go ahead and try and combine a couple of items to see if we can create an arrow. So there is the combo I am going to try and put together, and let's see how it worked out. Well, that can't all work, so that did not quite work. I guess I need to up the quality of my arrows, so I'm going to spend another energy again from Gretel to try again. Spoiler warning for the new combination, which is right there. So you can see, made a tweak to my efforts, and the result is Success. So it took me a little more attempts than I thought, but that's okay. That's part of the fun of the game, is the experimentation. And so now we can take a look at that item. And wow, yeah, that is potentially really good, letting me roll up to 2 additional dice. But I do have to, interestingly, I can also store goods on there. Don't have to use them specifically as arrows. They could be available for other things. But yeah, so obviously I'm going to need to prep some more materials before I actually go on the hunt. But that's okay, because I've still got plenty of energy left. One thing I do want to do, make sure that I just don't forget, is to get some water. So I'll just dip into the lake. Just cost 1 energy, and that's going to get me 2 water. Of course, again, water, food, freely exchangeable between the characters. Not to mention, because I have an outpost, I can freely exchange items. So I haven't really been paying attention to who has what. I have been thinking that so far, I've done really well. I had some good fortune with character generation. I've had good fortune with rolls, but I've also been able to divide and conquer. I am going to play out this challenge with these two, but I'm considering that I might try hardcore solo for the next challenge, just to see what that's like. And I have heard it is a little bit more challenging. That said, I am prepped for night. I still have plenty of actions. I do still want to make flint, so I'm going to see if I can do that. I will spend Gretel's last energy, and here we go. Here are the items I'm combining. It shouldn't be that surprising. So that did not work. Using those particular 2 items, it did suggest that perhaps I could combine a different combination of materials, a combination that I am going to need to get my hands on. So no flint just yet. I think now I'm going to go ahead and have Hansl go ahead and try hunting. Actually, yeah, you know what? I'm going to take a journey. We'll hunt in the forest. So Hansl is actually going to head down here. His faithful companion, who we should probably name, but I haven't yet, it will follow him, and let's see what happens. So we have come across a beehive, and I am going to need to be careful with this. Fortunately, well, I'm not resourceful, but he is very aware, as currently Hansl has a 5 plus 1 with the boost, and just to make sure I don't forget, I'm going to remove the boost now. So that's a 6. He also gets a plus 2 on journey tests from his mantle power, so it is an 8. I just need a 2 or higher. Result of the roll is a 5, so no problem. Hansl has successfully avoided the bees and retrieved a shell. And actually, I don't know if there just aren't that many shell tokens or if I misplaced one somewhere. So for now, components are not supposed to be limited. So I'm just marking that I've got 2 of these. Obviously, when it comes time to reconciling my pack, I still need to be able to fit 2 tiles of that size to hold on to both. But with 4 shells, assuming these are indeed shells, I'm not sure what else they could be. That would be the first thing I'd discard anyway. That said, now that I've successfully journeyed, I can head into the forest to try and hunt some game. So of course, cost 2 energy, and then we will dig out the forest deck, and I will go through the process and show you what I end up with. And actually, I just remembered one thing I forgot to do, so I'm just going to backtrack, is I need hardened wood. I left without any arrows. So I'll just spend another energy. That'll leave Hansl with just 1 left, but that should be able to get him home even with an arduous journey, and which I guess I don't even have to worry about. So I will go ahead and use the Riverstone pick to harden 1 wood, the spear to harden another, and the flaked Riverstone plus my new drill to shape this bone. Okay, well, this did not go at all the way I had expected as the predator leaped up to attack me, perhaps drawn to me by the presence of my trusty companion. Yeah, I'm not positive here in terms of the language. It says I am fighting the predator is the key word, but it also says you can intentionally hunt one. So I'm not actually sure I can use the bow. Hunting is a specific action that has to do with game. So I actually think I'm going to play. I'm going to play the dusk rule here, which is if there's ambiguity, you resolve it in the way that's worst for you. So I'm going to say that I actually cannot use the bow here. So then the question is, do I want to run or fight? If I fight, I need to roll a 5 or higher. If I fail, I will take a wound. However, I do have my trusty companion here to help me out with that. So I could also have my companion fight using might instead, but he's a 6. I currently have a boost, so I'm actually at 7 dexterity. Oh, and I do have a weapon on me. I have the Riverstone pick, so I have a reroll. Yeah, I think I'll go ahead and give it a try. Yeah, and the more I think about this, right, in order to hunt with a bow, you need to be a distance away. This predator is not. He's right in front of me. So I am going to have to face him down. I guess maybe I could have hunted the predator in the back if there were tracks. I'm not sure. Again, I'll have to look at those rules. But either way, I was looking for game. I wanted to get my hands on some hide, which I haven't had yet. I did not. Now I have to fight. So here we go. I have a 7, and I'm going to need a 5 or better. And that is a 1. So I'll go ahead and use the spear for a reroll. I mean, Hansel heard Gretel's tale of how she was able to take down one of these predators. He's got a predator aside. How hard could it be? Pretty hard. That is a fail. So now what would happen here normally? He would take a major injury. This would be my first injury of the campaign. However, I do have my pet, and let me pop that up again. So you can see the defender here does say whenever a character in their hex would suffer 1 or more injuries, I get to ignore an injury. So instead of having broken bones, suffering a major injury, I just get to ignore it. But unfortunately, this was an unsuccessful foraging trip. We don't come up with anything. A bit dejected and disappointed, an empty-handed Hansel is going to make his way back home. We will draw a journey card. Of course, my pet comes along with me. And oh my, the predator that mauled us, that I was barely saved from by my companion, has followed us back home, has attacked us again. And now I have to decide, you know what? I'm going to fight it. I do have a +2 on this journey. So I've got an 8 base. This time I need a 14 to get a success, but I get to read something. So I'm going to need a 6. I still do have my spear, so I've got a reroll, so let's see what happens. All right, come on, Hansel. This time Gretel is actually watching. Show her what you can do. No, it's better than you did before, but not good enough. All right, I will use the spear for a reroll. Here we go. Yes! Okay. Just like Gretel taught him, the good news is he has slain the predator, or whatever the result of this test is. He's gotten a 14, but he broke the spear. Because if you roll a 6 when using the spear, it breaks. So, I mean, that's what Gretel taught him. So he did it just like his big sister did. Let's see what the result is. All right, so as a result of that, we actually pick up not quite the bounty we would have gotten had we killed the predator the first time around, but 3 game, a tooth, and a shell. I just have a lot of shells. I got to figure out, maybe I can make a necklace with them. What happens if I combine 2 shells? I could always spend an energy to find out. But in the meantime, I also have unlocked a new goal. I now have the Hunter's Trial, and this sounded familiar, and I checked back. This is, if you watch the other video, and again, why are you watching this video? If you didn't watch the other one, it's fine. But from the other video, if you remember, originally when I did the gather stores, it was asking to compare, did I have more vegetables or meat? I had vegetables. I had all vegetables. If it had been the other way around, if there had been more meat, then instead of herbalism, this is the goal I would have unlocked. So now I have a chance to do both. This one, I just have to go out and intentionally face a predator yet again. So no rush on that one. It's an ongoing goal. It'll stick around. I'm just going to set it aside. I do think my loyal companion deserves something for helping me out. So, and saving my bacon originally. So I'm going to give him, well, not some bacon, but again, let's not tell him where the meat came from. He is going to have some meat. You can see here it shows fish and meat. You don't have to give both. Those are just his preferred foods. It's just one or the other. So by feeding him some meat, I can then give him a minor boost to his might score. And that's not an action, just something you can do anytime. So I do have 1 energy left before I close out the day. And with this abundance of shells, I'm actually going to use my grinding stone, which I can use for free as a night action. I'm going to use it during the day by spending an energy. Then I'll also be able to use it at night. And I'm going to see what happens when I grind a shell. Well, this is fun. I've discovered something new. I have unlocked my first pigment. So the game comes with several different colored pencils that you can use to decorate the cave wall. And it says at the beginning of the game, you only have access to the black one. Now, let's see, as I get to take a look at a pigment item card, and with the teal pigment, I've unlocked another color I can use to decorate my wall. So here is the pigment along with my new colored pencil. I assume that's the teal one. The other one is dark blue. I was taught teal was kind of greenish, but in any event, I guess teal is certainly more blue than green. Interesting that now I've got this bowl of pigment that I can combine with an item when crafting. So that is quite interesting. I'll have to give some thought to what I might want to combine that with, but it's good to know now that I've got all these shells, so I can, if I use up the pigment, I can easily replace it. That, however, is going to do it for the day, so let's move on to the night phase, where I've still got my fire going, so everyone is going to be able to get all of their energy back, and then we will degrade some tokens, removing this one, so those are back, no longer depleted. At this point, I would degrade the fire down to nothing, so I do have some wood lying around. I will feed the fire, and as we've determined, that sets it back up to roaring. I'm just using one of these tokens to show that I've got a fully stoked fire. Also, I've got a couple meat here that I'm going to need is going to begin to rot. Actually, I put those down wrong to begin with, but yeah, that was the fresh meat I got from the predator. No longer quite so fresh. And now I can do night actions. For my night actions, and I double check this, you can perform any number of night actions. You just can't perform the same night action more than once. I will go ahead and use my lithophone, which will get give everyone a +1 minor boost to conviction. So they're both at +2 again. That seems incredibly good. Although I am starting to run up on the item limit. So I actually have 7 pouch items between my 2 characters. Another thing that I think will be interesting about playing hardcore solo is a really limited amount of the items you can have. I don't even know if there's a way to store items. I'm going to have to double check that. But my other night action is I can do a grinding action. I have a bunch of these teeth, so I'm going to see what happens when I grind a tooth. Not mine, somebody else's. All right, well, looks like grinding a tooth is the same as grinding a shell. I get the teal pigment, so now I have 2 pigment cards, so perhaps when I wake up in the morning, I will try decorating one of my items. For the night events, neither one resolved, so tranquil night for both of them. They get a good night's sleep as Gretel is getting ready to head into that cave potentially in the morning. So for delving, not for mining, although I think I'll also mine as well. Um, so for the boost, I bumped his dexterity, and for her, I feel like having awareness as she goes on her delve will probably be helpful. So, and now I've got a bunch of things double boosted, so I feel like she is really ready to explore the unknown. Last thing we'll do, of course, is raise the activity level, which is going to trigger an event. So you can see here, as we're kind of getting ready to branch out a bit, I do have an opportunity to explore a hex, look at it for 30 seconds, and then put it back and put a mystery token on it. I don't think I'll need 30 seconds, but here we go. I have revealed this tile, which has... Wow, actually, it's good to know, because that is very difficult terrain, surrounded on all sides by mountains and forests, and I was looking to see if there might be a cave somewhere I could emerge from a delve. Doesn't look like it, so I'm going to flip this back over, and I will put a mystery token there. That taken care of. Now ready to move on to day 8. There's so much I want to do. But I know for sure I want to take one more crack at that elusive flint before I go on the delve. So I'm going to go ahead and... Actually, I won't even be able to hold enough items. So I think what I need to do first is use some pigment to see if I can decorate one of my items. Although, I don't even know what I would decorate. Maybe if I had a nice shell. But not the raw material shell. Obviously, I'm going to need to put some effort into that. So before I do any processing, I am going to go ahead. I'm going to have Hansl do some mining, and we'll trade the items around so that he's got the mining pick. And so I will be able to get 4 items. We will head into the cave. Current omen is the cloud omen. I know for sure that I want... the main thing I want here is a cloud stone. I don't have any of that, so there we go. Not a cloud icon, though. So we'll keep going. I still kind of want to be able to build that fire pit, so I'm going to need... Yeah, I don't need another spear. I just need a lot of minerals. So we'll go for another sunstone. That is the cloud, so we have to check the chart. So this one, very similar to the comet result. If it's dark, I'm going to take damage. It is not, because while I don't have fire on me, my torch is not lit, I do have the fire in my hex. So we are safe there, and I will go ahead and grab myself... Yeah, I'll go ahead and grab another sunstone, and finally a riverstone. So... there we go. I will collect my goods, and I am done with that action. We'll have Gretl do the action, as there's probably going to be one more day before I go on the delve. Still so many things I want to do. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and use my mallet to hammer these 2 goods. So I can flip these over. And then I will use these 2, a scraping and a drilling tool, to go ahead and flip over the shell, and that is going to do it for the process. Now I'll go ahead and craft, and not really any reason to hide this from you, as when you're using pigment, there's generally only one option. I guess if you have 2 reds, but I'm guessing it doesn't matter, the configuration. So well, let's find out what happens when we attempt to combine pigment with a shell. And lo and behold, it worked. I have made a shell talisman. So... actually kind of surprised. Let's take a look at that. This is very cool. I was filling up on items. I've gotten my first clothing or wearable item. It is the shell talisman, which I'm a little bit stronger when I'm injured. I don't like being injured, so we'll try and avoid that, but it also gives the indomitable trait. So I think I'm going to go ahead and give that one to Hansl. It is now time to craft again. If at first you don't succeed, try again. All right, spoiler warning. Here is the combo and the result. Hallelujah, I have done it. I have made striking stones. So now I do have the ability, well, this does not seem to make fire any easier than it already was. But the good news with this is it does give me the igniting tool. So now I can finally make that fire pit upgrade to my outpost. However, I am going to do that, but before we get to that, and maybe I'll do that next turn, I need more wood. I only have hardened woodnite right now. I don't want to waste that. I've gone through the effort to craft my arrows. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to attempt to craft again before I go into the forest and see if I can't make an axe. So here's the combo I'm going to put together. I want a different configuration than what I did with the pick, so let's see. All right, so that didn't work, but it did give me a useful tip. So I guess I am going to have to go into the forest looking for wood without being able to collect any extra this round. Just in case things go badly, Gretel's going to use her last action to collect some water. And then that way she can give herself one. She can give one to Hansl in case for some reason he doesn't make it back tonight. I don't know why he wouldn't. He's very good at journeying, and that's what he's going to do now. Heading down south yet again to his favorite forest spot. We'll go to this one this time. And drawing a journey card. All right, that event was just an arduous journey, so no effect. And now I can go... again, I'm looking for wood, but if I end up doing a hunt, wouldn't be sad about that either. All right, there's the result. I think I scared the predators away. One started to creep in a little bit towards the end, but I was able to go here and get a mushroom, followed by over here to get some vines, and then over here, which had a couple of feathers climbed up once again into the nest. So that's a pretty good haul. Let's bring all that back north. So, once again, heading north with my faithful companion at my side and looking at the journey card, it is going to take effect as I only have one energy remaining. So I get to choose a couple of omens that I could potentially investigate. Unfortunately, I still have not seen any. I'm looking at all these different components. Maybe I've missed something. I don't see any omens. It doesn't really matter what I choose. I've only got one action left. So I think, yeah, the omens only apply for investigating, not for crafting. With my last action of the day, I will try again with crafting with lesser materials. There is the recipe, spending that last energy, and the result is going to be... Yep, there we go. Worked this time. So there's my newfound item, an axe, which is good when doing might test. So we'll go ahead and give that to Gretel. And as I thought, it does let me collect one extra wood. With all that done, time to head in to night, where everyone will eat, drink, be merry, listen to the lovely music of Hansl. Although at this point, everyone is already maxed out on their conviction bonuses. So I will be able to grind another material. So let's give that a shot. Actually, I don't have a lot that I think could actually grind into anything. I don't want to grind my bone. I want to hold on to my sunstone. So I'll try grinding the feather. And I don't have to show you. Unsurprisingly, nothing happens. At this point, a bunch of things, right? We'll be able to remove these tokens. The fire will degrade. My mushroom will go down, and then it is night events. With all these predators and hounds and things coming down here, we have some unseen sounds. I should say first, the night event for Hansl was a tranquil night, so I bumped up his dexterity. This is Gretel's, but either of them can resolve it, and I don't want to risk anything bad happening to Gretel because I swear, she is going on a delve next day. So I'm going to have Hansl with his 5 awareness be the one to resolve this. So it is going to be a 5 plus a 5 is a 10. All right, so I can't win them all. He loses 1 energy. Once again, we are back to the comet. I keep waiting for a moon so I can do something with this moon juice, moon blood, that I picked up, but not yet. Okay. So the last thing is to advance the activity track. That's not going to trigger anything. We can go into the next day, and hopefully now, I am ready to go on a delve. Day 9, I am ready to send Gretel on my first delve, but before I do that, I am going to go on a hunt, see if I can get up a little bit more food. I should also grab some water, just in case. Again, having not done this before, just want to make sure I'm prepared. So first up, I will have Hansl spend 2 energy so that he can hunt. All right, so at this point, I think it just wasn't meant to be. I actually went through 6 cards, and I could not find any cards that had tracks in the foreground. There's only 2 of them in the deck, and I started off with a Predator, and at that point, a couple times I managed to get the tracks I was looking for. I couldn't put them into play because I had to choose a Predator card instead. So obviously, the more cards I do, the more I run the risk of the big Predator jumping out at me. Can't use my bow against that. At least, again, that's the way I'm rolling it. And it makes sense to me because you need to be at a distance to use a bow. If you're hunting, I think you need to have the tracks. So that being the case, I do have the basket with me. I am just going to gather instead. And I can go ahead and gather 4 nuts. There's also a cloudstone down there. So that is going to do it for that action. To get that food edible and ready to go, I am then going to have Hansl use his mallet, which he can use 3 times. Now, even though I'm just using the 1 tool, I can still only process 3 goods. Haven't figured out how to process more than 3 yet. So I will go ahead, crack open all 3 nuts, and now I have a nice store of food. For Hansel's last action, he will go ahead and head to the lake and get some water. So those are both watered up, and also I should put a nut down here to remind myself that he's ready to eat. And now we can go to Gretel. I think the one thing I want to do heading out is make sure that I have a little bit of extra water, have some supplies. So I'm going to spend an action, get a couple more water, which I'll hang on to, and I'm going to have to shuffle some things around now as her pack is full just in case they're not together at the end of the day. And I lied because I realized I'm not going on a delve today because I realized I do need to spend energy to light the torch. So I think what I'm going to do instead, we'll hold off 1 more day. I am now going to spend 2 energy. You can see that if I want to construct the fire pit, at the bottom is the energy cost. It does cost 2. And then in order to do that, I actually need 3 unprocessed riverstone. So we've got those right there, as well as a piece of wood. And so then I can go ahead and build the structure. I've successfully built the fire pit, which is going to make it quite a bit easier for me to start fire and also allow me to store wood. I can put 3 wood in there. And obviously it's easy to keep the fire going now. This will be an advantage in future campaigns, future generations. As long as this outpost sticks around, this will be a good place to get fire up and running. Also, it does say when the structure is built to put a fire token in the hex. I'm going to assume that that fire will be at full strength, as that is usually the case when you put fire into play. So we've once again, I got a raging fire. To finish out the day, I've got 2 energy left. I'm going to use 1 to do some more processing. I'll use the hardened wood to drill a tooth, and then I can cut this fiber into string with the axe, which is a cutting tool, and then I can use my grinding stones along with the other hardened wood as a drill to go ahead and refine that shell. And with my last energy, I'm just going to try crafting some materials I haven't tried to combine before and see what happens. So here's the combination. I'm thinking maybe I can fashion some kind of shield or armor or something. I don't know. Let's see. All right, this is a pretty interesting result, and if you don't want to see the recipes, you should continue to not look. But this is very interesting, as this is telling me, well, the current configuration of the items doesn't give me anything, but perhaps if I rotated them in a different way, alternatively, it does give me a tip on how I might create a fishing hook. So that could be useful. Would definitely be interested in getting one of those. Not going to help me on the delve, But I think maybe I'll do that. I'll just kind of file that in the way in the future. And now I'm going to try a different configuration of these two items. And also, if you're still looking away, it does allow me to get the items back. I don't have to spend another energy if I want to try reconfiguring them. All right, so it took me like 3 tries of rotating different ways. I kept getting that result. Try a different way, try a different way. I finally came up with something with this pattern. And boy, is that going to be useful, as I have created a piton. Let's take a look at that. So this was really timely and a happy accident, as I have created, with the piton, is obviously very useful for delving and is going to let me reroll delve rolls. So yeah, I should not delay any further. I swear, I am going delving tomorrow. All right, here we go into the night phase. I've shuffled things around. Everyone is going to fully rest up. Hopefully they'll be able to stay that way. And my nuts do not degrade, so that is good news. And we do get to remove this. The fire goes down a little bit. And for actions, I could try grinding something. Well, let's see. Yeah, I guess I've got the cloudstone that I've picked up, so we can give that a try. And that was successful, as I have unlocked another pigment. Although I don't really have room for it. I've got too many items, so I'm actually probably will just let the pigment go. But I know easily now how to make it, and I've unlocked another pencil color. All right, so starting with Hansel's night event, we cannot keep those predators away. I'm starting to wonder if maybe the fact that we're actually keeping one in our camp as a pet is drawing others to us. That said, I'm going to have to fight it because there is a mystery token in an adjacent hex. So, I've noticed, if you look at the keywords, this is a champion test. So that means that Gretel will have a +2. Currently, her might is boosted by 1, so she's at a 7 might. She's got the axe if she needs it. But without the axe, she's at a 9, and just needs to roll a 3 or higher. So only need a 3. Here we go. There's a 5. So yeah, I've defeated the predator. Unfortunately, this does not count for the hunter's trial, because it explicitly says on that card that you have to do it while gathering, which I am not. But having killed the predator, I do gain all the bounty, and some other stuff is going to happen as well. There are my spoils. Additionally, and fortunately, since we've already gone through, I don't have to worry. This meat will still continue to be fresh. You just do things in order, much like, at this point, adding new things to my pack. It's okay if they were overflowing. Now I do need to resolve that mystery token. But the card does say after resolving the encounter, so I assume this night encounter card is in the discard pile, which means the current omens are Moon and Cloud. And let's see. It is Moon. It's a match. So in this case, I hear a faint tune in the wind. I get to add 2 lore. Now it says if I have music, I get to add an additional lore as well. This is another instance of Gretel doesn't, but Hansl does. Does that count? I'm not sure. So again, I'll just go with the dusk rule and say no in this case. So she is not the musician. He is. I think you could certainly make an argument either way. But again, the dusk rule is nice and straightforward. So I'll just take the 2 lore bump. Now we resolve Gretel's night event, and it does happen. So we have to deal with this pollen. Fortunately, we do have shelter here in our cave, so they're going to get a +4. So I'm going to have her make a might check. She's already got a base 6 might, so she's going to succeed with a 10. And then that way I don't have to degrade her conviction. But just to make sure, I will do a conviction test for Hansl, who's currently boosted with a major boost. He's at 7, +4 is 11. I'll just knock that down 1. And that said, oh, sorry, he was at a 5. +4 is 9, but again, that is still going to be a success. So both of them have succeeded without having to roll, and that'll do it for the night events. Sadly, I was so happy at this opportunity that Moon was going to be the active omen. It is not anymore, as the The other card goes on top, so we are going to have to wait that much longer to do something with our Moonblood. But now we just advance the activity marker one more time, and we can move on to day 10. All right, I've been talking about it. Now it is finally time to do it. Just one last bit of preparation. As you know, again, we can freely pass items around while I've got the outpost here. I'm going to have Hansl spend an energy to... He's going to borrow the torch. He's going to spend an energy to light up the torch, pass it back to Gretel. Then Gretel will spend an energy. She is going on a delve. Of course, once she leaves and goes into that cave... And in order to go on a delve, you need to have either a chasm or a cave in your area. They're not going to be able to trade items. So I need to make sure she's outfitted. So here's what she's taking. She's got 4 pouch slots. The rope and the piton were obviously, you know, the rope was an item we were looking for. Don't know we'll need it. Just seemed good. The piton was a fortunate find. I'll also give her the Cloudstone Mallet, so I've got a tool there in case I need some tool abilities, and the Woven Basket in case I need a little extra carrying capacity. And then for her 2 hand items, she'll bring the Lit Torch and the Riverstone Axe. She doesn't have any clothing items, even though she's got 3 slots, so good enough. Let's head in and see what happens. And again, this is my first time trying this out. I'll just explain the mechanics as we go along. So the first part of doing the delve after spending the energy is to find your starting chamber. And that depends on whether you're going through a cave or a chasm. Since I'm going through a cave, I am looking for a starting area that either has cold or moisture. And you can tell by looking at the back of the card on the top of the deck. Now this one is heat, so I keep setting them aside into the face down into the discard pile until I find one that has cold or moisture. There it is. So that is going to be my initial delve card. And we can kind of get some hint about what we might find by reading the text. Cold spills up from a chasm before us. Press on? Yeah, of course. So we will flip it over to take a look at the starting chamber. Now, in this case, I'll go ahead and read. You enter a cavern lit by the glow of a strange substance lapping up from within a crevice in the ground. The liquid moonlight dazzles, and you begin sliding toward the pool. All right, so you can see here we've entered a chamber lit by the glow of a strange substance, a substance we've seen before. Guessing that is Moonblood as we begin to slide towards it. Uh-oh. So now we have to just reading and doing what's on the card. I do have to make a strength check, or sorry, a might check. The good news is I get to roll might, which is my best stat. The bad news is I'm at a 6. I still need a 4 to prevent anything bad from happening. I could discard the piton to automatically get a 6. I don't think I want to do that yet. So let's go ahead and roll. Okay, it's a 5. So I have managed to get the better result. Now, having completed that, which will either be an entry effect, or which this was, or entry rewards, I now have to prepare the next level. Prepare my choices, which you can see down here. So again, I'm going to draw cards off the top of the deck until I find one that match. So there's one. The other one will just keep going until we get moisture. So it is either going to be cold or moisture. So we'll just kind of position it like this as I can make my choice. And again, I've got a little bit of text that I can read. Gives me a little clue as to what I might find. That is actually the end of my turn. So at this point, I could then go back to the surface and see what Hansl's up to. Or again, since the turns are made up and don't matter, I can just continue going, which is what I'm going to do here. So now, at the start of my turn, I am going to have to choose one of these options. In this case, I have 3 different options. I can stick around, if this were depth 4, it is not. So the way depth works is the first card is depth 1, then 2, 3, 4. And again, keeping in mind my goal here, the Secret Ways goal, I am trying to get to at least depth 2 and then find an exit. So not that I really have a choice because I don't see the exit. I'm going to have to go deeper. I can stick around. As I said, I can't do the first option. I could do the second option. If I wanted to collect some of this Moonblood, I would just spend an energy. That would be the end of my turn. I would start my next turn here. I'm not going to do that. Mainly because I've already got 3 Moonblood that I've collected earlier, so that I still can't convert. Also, if you have no energy and you start a delve, you take a wound. So let's try not to get to that situation. I'm going to choose the third option, which is going to allow me to descend and continue the delve. Unfortunately, it's looking for both a clothing item and fire. I have fire. I do not have a clothing item. I probably should have taken that talisman with me. I did not, so I am going to suffer my first malady. So Gretel is going to take a major malady, a disease. And yeah, already this is more dangerous than anything we've done before. This was just the first room. Now I have to choose where I'm going to head next. So now I've got a choice between the taste of ancient mud or a wet, murky scent. I'm a little worried about my torch maybe getting blown out, but also I can brave the shadows. I do have light. So I think I'm going to choose the bottom option. I'll now resolve the entry effect, which is an empty stretch of cave wall beckoning me to place an omen mark. So that's interesting. I could do it in color. But I do have to read an entry in the book. All right, this is interesting. I guess there is a little bit of a legacy element here. It is not my cave wall I'm going to be leaving a mark on. It's the card itself. So I've got three choices, though really only one choice because this is my first time encountering the card. I'm going to have to choose an omen and leave a mark. And given what I've already witnessed with these maladies, I think I'm probably thinking ahead, going to leave the mark of the comet here. Well, who knows if I did this right. Did not work with the colored pencils. I actually had to use a Sharpie to do a very terrible drawing of a comet. At least put it in those little lines to hopefully help me remember. And if I've done this wrong, let me know. And if not, seems cool to me. So now I do have to choose. And again, that would be the end of the turn. It would be next turn, and we'll just roll right into that. I do now have to choose. I do have the exit option. So I could exit the delve right now, collect all of my rewards, which is nothing so far. And the way it works is as you gain rewards, you set them aside. You don't get to claim them until you actually exit. I would accomplish the goal, but I'd like to do a little bit more. And I've got plenty of energy left. I've just taken the one malady, so I'm going to plan on taking the second option. But even before I do that, I do need to set up the next possibilities. Again, just drawing cards from the deck until I find the ones I'm supposed to draw, which are these two options. And at this point, I don't know if there's any way to go back the way I came. So I don't think it really matters that this card is here, but I'll leave it out nevertheless. And I will look at these cards and consider which way I want to go next. So spending my second energy, again, to descend. So I've got more moisture and I can kind of feel my way through a corridor, or there's an inviting warmth, a heat ahead. We like heat, we like fire, so I think I'm going to choose the bottom option. So I've come upon a hive of buzzing creatures that are collecting a tar-like substance. Now I do get an entry reward is one pitch, which I've set aside. Again, I don't have it yet, but I've kind of collected it. We'll see if I get out of here, if I get to keep my pitch. And again, that would be it for that turn. Next turn, I then have to make a choice. I can either stick around and do a test to try and get some of the pitch, which I think I could potentially do, or I can descend and move on. Given that pitch has been fairly difficult for me to come by so far, I'm going to go ahead and do the test to collect some more. I'm not too concerned about success. I'm testing conviction, which is already a 6. It's +2 because it's boosted, so I'm at 8. And I've got an item with fire, so I'm actually at a 10 without even rolling. I do have to degrade one of my boosts, so I will go ahead and do that. And here, just showing you my current character stats there. So I've grabbed the 2 pitch, I've set them aside. Again, that's the end of that turn. I stick around, I'll have to make another choice next turn, and that choice will certainly be to move on. Now, looking at my options for the next level, heat has turned to fire. So it could be something really interesting down there. Could also be dangerous. I'm already going down to level 4, and I don't know how much deeper I want to go. And then there is also this top option where there is a draft, and perhaps with that I could find an exit. So I think for this, my first delve is we're just kind of getting a taste. and not that I know there's actually going to be an exit, but I will go ahead and spend an energy. So that's my third energy spent, just two left. So yeah, I don't want to stick around here too long. I'm going to go this way. So I've tracked the wind into a chamber that was once a barrow, and I have found some bone. So I've added that to my list of rewards, potentially that I can keep if I leave here. And once again, faced with a choice, I can go towards warmth or musk, or, as I anticipated, there is actually an exit. Now, I am starting to, like I said, only have the 2 energy left, and I don't want to completely freak her out on this, my first trip down here. So I think, given these choices, I am probably, and I could look at what the next 2 cards read, but I'm not going to bother putting them out. I think I am just going to go ahead and take this opportunity to exit. So now that I'm choosing to exit, and actually, I could go deeper. You don't have to find an exit. It's just, once you have no more energy, you either have to take an injury to keep going, or you have to withdraw. And if you withdraw, you only get to keep one of your rewards. So that being the case, like I said, this was just our first taste. I'm going to go ahead and exit. Now, what's really interesting is I'm exiting from depth 4. Depending on how deep you went determines where you show up. If you exit at just depth 1, so you dip in, dip out, you come back where you started. At 2 or 3, you're actually able to appear in any cave or chasm in the same region. So anywhere in the Verdant Valley. Not that I've explored a lot. When you go to depth 4, and you exit, you could have traveled a long way. Who knows where you traveled? You can actually appear at any chasm or cavern on the revealed map. Now, as the case is, got the map right over here. You know, you can see there's only one. Actually, there's a chasm here. There's a cave here. So in this situation, I can appear at either one, and I do have a couple of energy left. That said, if I use both the energy, then I don't know if I guess I could journey. There's a risk of an arduous journey. I do have the rope with me. And again, if I'm here, it's not so bad that there's an arduous journey. But I think that's a lot of rigmarole to go through. I haven't even used any of the features here. So this all being the case, while it might be fun to go out further and explore, I am just going to exit and reemerge in the cave here, and then head back home. That's going to do it for the delve. Exiting the delve, I have completed this objective. I have stashed all of my goods, and now we get to see what happens. So having completed the delve, experienced a little bit of a whole other underworld beneath the valley with strange creatures and other things that I was a little too afraid to encounter this time. I will get to put a mark on my cave wall. This will be Gretel's first, and actually this will be a good opportunity to put the other 2 marks I still haven't done for Hansl, and also show you the one other mechanic involved with that. All right, so you can see here I've updated my cave wall with the various events, and then the other thing you need to do is you need to record those events on the individual character cards. So I guess in the future, when they become legends, you can reference back to the various symbols they unlocked. I'm not sure. We'll find out further on down the road. Now, I'm okay on food and water. I think the next thing I want to work towards is unlocking the other animal companion. So in order to do that, I need one of 3 different buildings available, either the waste pits or the kennel or the drying racks. And we've got a lot of lore to spend. I'm not going to be able to keep it at the end of this challenge. That resets to 0. So I'm going to go ahead and spend 5, and it's not an action. You can do it anytime during your turn. I'm going to spend 5 lore to discover how to make a kennel. Now, in order to make that, I am going to need a bunch of ingredients, most of which I already have, but I don't want to use my hardened wood, and I just have the one regular wood, and I need the string, or the fiber, so it seems like a good a time as any to send somebody into the forest. I will send Hansl yet again, just in case he has a chance with his bow. I will pass the basket over his way. so that he can collect an extra good. Oh no, that's only for nuts. It's the axe I need. So yeah, I'll swap things around so that he's got the axe. So spending 2 energy over here. And now, as per usual, I will shuffle up the forest deck and looking for at least 2 string and vines. Are there 3 trees I could get it? Because that would be optimal. But let's find out. So this turned out to be a very good haul, as I was able to find 3 trees with fiber on them with vines, starting with this one in the foreground, also a feather, then in the midground here, and then in the background 2 trees also with vines. I did have to pass up the mushrooms, but focus here was getting the stuff so I can do the kennel, and also having kind of been clued in, I would like to make a fishing line. Next up, I need to process that fiber, so I will, having already passed the items over to Gretel, I'll have her do it. And again, I do have to shuffle items around. This is a lot easier to do when you're hanging out at the outpost. That said, I can do that, so I can get 3 different cutting tools to get 3 different fiber. And with Gretel's last action, I am going to see if I can go ahead and craft a fishing line. So here is the combo I'm going to try. I think this was kind of the direction I was being pushed earlier. Let's take a look. Not what I was expecting, but I guess it makes sense, as I have crafted a necklace of teeth. And so there is the necklace of teeth. It is a clothing item, so that's good. Not that I'm going to be able to hold on to all these items going past this challenge. It does give me the cunning ability, so that's nice, and potentially I can double bump my conviction, although with all the music going on, don't really need that. That said, I don't know that I'm going to hold on to the musical instrument, as again, I'm running up against the item limit. So all that said, I will give this necklace of teeth to Gretel. And with just 2 energy left, I will spend that on Hansl to go ahead and construct the kennel. So this one's expensive, cost a lot of lore to develop, but we've had this predator hanging out with us for a while. We're looking to maybe take in more pets. It does seem like a good idea to construct some shelter for them, so let's find out what the kennel does. Well, the kennel is specifically for the rescuer companion, which I have not unlocked, but hopefully that does sound like that could be human's best friend. So that potentially will be next day. However, I have now completed my goal of build the village, as that is my 3rd structure. I've constructed my village, and what should be a day of celebration is shadowed by uncertainty. So now what I read depends on the makeup of my structures, immobile versus mobile. I do have 2 mobile structures, 1 immobile. So we will read the first result. All right, so I have discovered caravans and how to make my outposts mobile. So that seems like that could be pretty useful, especially given the setup I've got right now. I do potentially have some plans for that for next turn. Maybe. We'll have to see. I'll be able to check not next turn, in between challenges, I should say. No reason to pay all the energy when I can basically do it for free in between challenges. But I get to mark up my cave wall, and I gain a new knowledge, which actually, this is the first time I've gained a knowledge card which is not in the rules. A lot of the other knowledge, they're just supplements to the basic action sheet. So even though you get the knowledge after you perform the action, this is an instance of me getting the knowledge card before I've performed the action. And there are the rules for caravans, which basically say you can spend 3 combined energy to move it to an adjacent space that doesn't have an overlay. In that case, you can bring your mobile structures with you and 1 immobile. So as things stand right now, I'd be able to bring everything over, including the fire pit, and then you can also do that in between challenges. On top of that, I have also completed the main objective for my challenge. So the challenge card instructs me to read this passage. And as I said, I peeked ahead a little bit just to have an idea, so that it says I can end the challenge at the end of any day. So I don't have to do it now. I think I'm going to play 1 more day. At this point, there's not much benefit to building up 2 other stuff, if I want to do exploration, but I can do that I mean, I am going to explore territories, but in terms of exploring crafting and whatnot. But when all's said and done, I'm only going to be able to keep 5 items for each character. I'm only going to be able to keep 5 materials for each character. So, all that said, I have taken all my actions. It is time to do the night phase. So first up for the night phase, of course, everyone has fire, is rested, is fed, so we can go ahead and heal everybody back up. And now, the first time this has come up, I do have a malady, but since I have both had food and water, I am able to degrade that by 1 step. So a major disease becomes a minor one, and that takes care of that. Next up are night actions. I will have Hansl play his lovely tune, increasing the conviction of both himself and his sister. And then I will go ahead and do some grinding. I will try grinding sunstone. And I kind of figured where this is going. I've gotten some more pigment, and now I have unlocked the orange pencil. Next up, we do need to... Oh, there should have been... depletion counter on there, but that gets removed. And then do we remove the fire? We'll let it stick around for one more time. I will use some of the wood that I've stored on the fire pit to go ahead and stoke that fire again. And of course the meat is starting to go bad. That's fine. We'll just eat it at the end of the next day. And now it's time for night events. In the middle of the night, Hansl is the first to wake up from the sweltering heat. And in this case, all of my characters are going to have to make a might check. I could discard water for +2. Don't have any water. I could get +2 for being resourceful. Not resourceful. However, I am pretty well equipped to this. While Hansl himself, not very strong in might, he can seek shelter under the protection of his defender pet, who does have a boosted might score, and therefore we can use the defender's attribute instead, and that's what I'll do. So instead of certain failure for Hansl, I get to roll with a 6, actually boosted to a 7. That will degrade after using it, so just need a 3 or better, and helps if I roll in the tray, and that is just good enough. Well, and then some. Now, Gretel will roll. She's just at a 6 might, but she does have the torch, which gives her a +2 to all night tests, and that is still lit. We don't check until the end of the day, end of the night phase, to see if it goes out. So that is a base 8 for her. And again, hidden, it is a 4. Well, Gretel had a dream of a primal hunt, making me wonder if maybe she should go on a hunt next turn. It'll probably still be Hansl if I'm actually trying to hunt and look for tracks. But she loses an energy, and then as a result of this, I can either boost conviction or awareness, which are already double boosted, or I can gain a lore, so I'll do that. I'll also gain an activity at the end of the night, and then last thing but not least is to roll and see if my torch goes out. It'll stick around on a 3 or higher, and I rolled a 2, so no more torch. Now as we go into day 11, I could end the game at any time. I could go up to day 17. I don't want to go that far. I guess 16, because if I get to the end of 17, either way, I'm probably only going to play a couple more days. There are some things I still want to accomplish. I would like to see if I can get that other companion. I'm assuming that the next challenge is only going to be a season, so I'll get to keep things that go. You can have different gaps of time between challenges, a season or a generation, or going to a whole epoch. Don't think that's going to happen yet. But that said, so that's one of my goals. Also, I've got 3 structures. I can have up to 5. I'm not necessarily looking to get to 5, maybe to 4 to kind of, those of course will all carry along. And since I do have the ability with the caravan to move them around, I was looking at the other mobile structures. And I decided what I wanted to go for is the clay pots. So, you can see there the cost. And the way I've been playing it is they recommend that if you don't look at both sides, especially of ones that you can't even get yet, just to kind of narrow down your choices, to kind of keep some element of discovery. What I'm doing is, once I pay the lore cost, then I'll look at the other side before I decide whether or not to build it. Speaking of which, You can see the clay pots are quite handy, being able to store food and water. However, they are a bit difficult to make. I need a bunch of materials, including cured hide, which I have not yet gotten yet. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is once again try and hunt. I'll spend 2 energy from Hansl, and I will put down the depletion marker, because technically you are supposed to do that before you do anything else. Then Hansl will take his bow, I guess he'll also take the basket just in case, and head into the forest. Okay, so this time I have finally managed to get some good luck. I found some tracks on my starting card, and then tracks in the middle ground on my second card, some game in the background, also predator. So I can target either one of them, but I do want the hide. So I am going to target the antelope looking thing. Also, I noticed, first time here, that on this card, one of these tracks looks like the sun omen. So unfortunately, and so I could investigate that. That would fulfill one of my other goals. However, in order to do that, sun would have to be the active omen, which is not. So now I'll know that when there's a bright sunny day, I should head back into the forest, and hopefully I can draw this card again, interact with it. I don't believe I have to interact with the tracks per se, just would have to be one of the cards I gather from. In any event, I am going to go after it. I have to make a dexterity check. I am currently at 8, and I just need a 10, but we've got the bow, so I'm going to use it. And with the bow, you can see it's actually, you do have to roll additional dice for the number of tokens, but you don't have to keep the tokens on it. They can freely be moved around. So knowing that would be the case, and I don't need to roll 2 dice, I would have kept 1 back in my pack. I can always put the hardened wood on later if I lose an arrow here. So right off the bat, I've got my 8 with my boosted dexterity, plus a d6, plus another d6 for the 1 token already on here. So let's see. All right, so that is a 12, which is good enough. We just need a 10 or higher. And for that, I gain 4 game, a bone, a hide, most importantly, and 2 guts. So now with that haul and all that meat, I can go ahead and spend 4 of it to go ahead and complete Human's Best Friend. And I'm actually going to have Gretel do that, so she'll be the one that gets the new mark that I get to put on the cave wall, and a new companion, as we have unlocked the Rescuer. So here is the Rescuer, a very nice pet. Got a couple of different attributes, as well as 1 spot to hold on to an item, and a really good special ability, the ability to degrade a malady, which gets even better with the kennel, if you remember. So whenever I degrade a malady, I am also going to be able to give a double bonus to a stat, and I'm going to be able to do that right now. I'll go ahead and have my faithful companion go ahead and degrade my minor malady to get rid of that, which will then allow me to bump up strength, and good boy, we'll let you have a bone that you can hold on to. All right, well, home base is getting a bit crowded, as we now have another miniature that I still need to paint. But now I'm going to move forward to the other thing I was planning on doing, start collecting goods for the clay pots. Well, I've got a lot of stuff. Maybe I'll lose some stuff. It doesn't really matter. I still do have place to store things. But for now, I'm going to head down to here, and I will send... sure, she'll go with her new faithful companion there. I'll just shuffle things around to make sure that she's got the mining pick. So we will resolve a journey card, potentially. Just an arduous journey, and not that arduous, and so I don't even have to use my rope to prevent the energy loss. Doesn't cost me any energy. I will then, however, spend 2 energy so I can go mining here in the flats, which is a good place to get clay. And first time mining in the dried flats, going in the bag is going to be 2 stunstone and 3 clay. These are pretty easy to tell the difference apart, so pretty sure I'll be able to mine what I want. As we will go ahead, almost thinking a more interesting thing would just be throw everything in and you only mine successful if it's one of the things that can be mined. But either way, let's grab just one sunstone and take a look there. Not a matching omen. Now we'll go the rest for clay. That, I believe, is a matching omen, so we'll see what happens. So this is pretty interesting. Interesting timing thing that's come up is I found a bone, maybe a fossil, and I'm trying to pry it loose. It's going to be a might test. And one of the things that can give me a +2 bonus is if I have a scraping tool. Well, you actually acquire the items you mined before you actually flip the omen token. So I do have the sunstone that I managed to get. So I am going to get +2 to that. I also have the clay even before I roll. So I've got 6 might. I've got the +2 from the boost. So that's 8 plus another 2 from the sunstone. So that's a base of 10. To that we will add a 1. So not enough, just an 11. Well, the bones splinter and crack, but at least I learned something from it. I pick up 1 lore. I'll degrade my might boost once, and then I will dig back into the bag for another clay. And of course, at this point, the omens are not going to match. I will get a 3rd clay, and that's it for the mining action. Again, because of the mining pick, I do get 4 items instead of 3. We'll put a depletion counter there, again, which technically we do before we run the mining action. Now we'll attempt to go back home and check the journey deck. Just an arduous journey, so we are back and now need to process some items. I think I'm also still going to need to pick up some twine, so I'll have to think about how I want to go about doing that. Maybe I'll try fishing next time. Haven't done that in a while, but first let me refine some things. Spend an energy to go ahead and fire up this clay. I've got fire, and that can do up to three things, so that'll give me a couple bricks. And then I've got a drilling tool and a cutting tool to work the hide. Next up, I will use my last energy on Gretl to do some more processing. I'll hammer open this nut. I will fire up yet another brick, and we will refine some gut and see what we get there, as now I can attempt to combine some items. I still have 3 energy left on Hansl, so he's going to use one of those to get them both some water. And then I'm going to use the other 2 energy to try doing some crafting. So here's your spoiler warning, and then I'll show you what I'm combining. I don't really know what I'm going for here or what I'm going to end up with, but I figure you could potentially use these 2 things together to create nothing. All right, let's try something different. All right, well, there's the combo I'm trying this time, and this also resulted in nothing useful, but it did let me get the materials back and gain an energy back, so letting me know that perhaps I'd want to combine with a different stone. So I can try again. Using the energy I just got back, let's try another combination. It's going to look like this, and I think I might be able to get something out of this. And yeah, this did in fact yield something. I have made a sunstone mallet. Let's see how that is different from the cloudstone mallet. So, pretty interesting tool. It's another hammer, but unlike the cloudstone mallet, which lets me smash multiple things, this has the other 2 abilities. I can either... Actually, no, I can smash with this as well, and I can also grind. At this point, I am a bit overloaded on pack items, so I gotta let something go. I'll let the pigment go. That's easy enough to get back, and that is going to do it for the day phase. Going into the night, everyone is well fed, fire's still burning, so we get all that stuff back. I almost had enough room to store everything. I ended up just losing a gut. You can see here, I've got even the nicer bone now. Hold on to that for now. Don't chew it up. We're going to need it. I've still got my stockpile here. I've got a couple wood here in the fire pit, a couple of hardened wood for arrows. I got a brick in my basket. So stuff all over the place. This guy's holding on to a couple shells still. And with that, we'll go ahead and degrade these. The fire will dim just a bit. And now I can go ahead and do actions. I could grind something, but at this point, I don't really have any room if I end up getting pigment back, so I'm not going to bother. I am just going to move things along. So night actions are done. I think we can move on to night events. Well, this is fantastic. So yes, I should say I have 2 or more materials. This fires off. I can process up to 3 items, then craft something, which I'm going to do. But what I'm even more excited about is the fact that little thing that says I can use these omens. And one of them is moon, which means I can finally craft my moon blood. So then I just need to decide. I think what I'm going to do is I'm only going to craft 2 of them. So that way I also can make myself another torch, because I at least know I have room for that. So there are my goods. We can flip that over. We've now got the moonstone, and as well as a bowl of refined pitch. I will then combine the pitch with some wood, and that'll give me a torch. For Gretel's night event, we have been attacked by a swarm. This does resolve, so everyone's going to have to make a dex check. On the plus side, I do still have shelter here, so it is going to be a +4. So that's going to be an automatic success for Hansl, who's currently boosted. He's at a 7, +4 is 11, plus whatever the roll is. For Gretel, she's just at a 4, plus the additional 4 is an 8. So let's see if she can overcome this. 8 + 3 is 11, just enough. Oh, and I almost forgot, for the previous night event, I do need to roll a die. And on a 4, 5, or 6, we're going to add to the activity level. No. So just +1 to the activity level, up to 12 as we go into day 12. So we're into day 12, what might be the final day before I call it an end to this challenge. But we'll see. Still have a few things I want to accomplish. First and foremost, we do need some fiber. So I am going to send somebody, I guess it'll be Hansl, will head back into the forest to do some gathering. Ended up going through a whole bunch of cards, a lot of options, as we are looking to cut down some trees with the axe, so I can do 4 of them. And I was able to, starting here, pick up a mushroom, go here, pick up another couple mushrooms, then some fiber, and all the way in the back for some additional fiber. Just the one predator showed up. I don't have to worry about that. So there's my haul. And then next up, I will go ahead and have Hansl spend another action so that he can improve these vines into string that I can use, and also fire up this pitch, which I will be able to use for the clay pits. And finally, for Hansl, I will have him spend another 2 actions and the necessary materials to go ahead and add the clay pits to our outpost. I just keep saying clay pits. No. Clay pit is where we go to get play. This is actually the clay pots, which there you can see is now constructed and is a mobile structure that can also hold food. Shuffling some goods around, I am now going to have Gretel do some processing. And so she'll be able to use the bone as a drill to process this tooth. And then I've got a couple of tools that I can use for the scraping along with the drilling to process these shells. And even if I'm not going to hold on to it or even use it, I do want to make sure I've figured out how to make a fishing hook so I can at least leave that knowledge for the next generation or whatever comes next. So I'm going to try one more time, different configuration, and I'm going to spend an energy to craft. So here's the combination, and if actually you take these and you do it differently, you can actually make a piton. It's another way of doing it, even completely different materials than I used before. Do not want another piton, but I can tell that again by looking at the back of the piton card and seeing that that recipe is already there. No, I'm going to try it this way, and let's take a look. And there we go, success. I have found the proper configuration. I have made a fishhook. And so there is the fishhook, which is quite useful, really helps to mitigate some of the randomness and uncertainty of fishing, since you can wait until you see what the total difficulties are before you place one of your dice. And or you can move it around, or you can not place it. I now understand why the rules say you don't have to place all of them. Here's a situation where you might hold a die back. That's it. I don't know that I'm going to use it because I've got 3 energy left, and I could fish, but as I often forget to do, there is a depletion counter from going into the forest, and I do want to try at least one more recipe. I've refined these shells. I want to see what happens if I try and do something with them. All right, well, I spent a couple of actions. I tried some different combinations with shells. Didn't result in anything. I've only got 1 left. I still don't have any water, so I'll just do the simple, straightforward water collection, and that is going to do it. And I realize I haven't explored, so I guess I am going to play at least 1 more day. Nighttime, everybody is fully fed. Nobody has any maladies to heal. I've got my mushroom stored here, so it will not degrade. And of course, I'll eat the other 2 mushrooms. And then with degrading, this will come off, and I will feed the fire so that it sticks around. And then we can, I guess, action-wise, anything I want to try and grind. I guess I don't think I've tried to grind bone yet, so I guess I could try and do that. And yes, that makes sense. Grinding the bone is how I get the white pigment, so now I have access to the white colored pencil. Just need to figure out how to unlock the red one. So what I am going to do now is I am going to hold on to that pigment. I think I'm going to try and do something with it next turn, which means that I do have to lose an item, and I will lose the spark stones. All right, this could be a rough event with the shuddering sky, which is going to affect everybody. And I do not have any cloak items, so no bonuses there. It is going to be a dexterity test, which is going to be a 6 for Hansl and just a 4 base for Gretel. I could have my faithful pup do it, but he's also just got a 4. Haven't boosted him yet. So going to have to see what I can do with that. Might end up taking a malady, but fortunately I do have the dog around to help me get rid of it if need be. So let's start with Hansl. And base of 6 plus 1 is only a 7. Cold, damp, and miserable. Now we need to resolve Gretel. She does not have the warmth of her torch. She has not lit it. So, and I completely missed, so let's try again. Okay, that is a 6 and then some, as with the exploding dice is a 7 plus 4, gets me up to the 11 result. Which I guess the 10 result was good enough. No damage taken. Don't have to advance the activity track. Not that it really matters. But I do get to collect a water. Now, for Gretel's night event, it was just a tranquil night, so I gain a boost. I actually am going to boost might up to 8, even though I could probably use a boost in dexterity. I know I'm planning on doing some traveling. Going to be tough going into this area, which I got a peek at, so having the rope and guaranteed success a couple times definitely could come in handy. On to day 13, which might be the last day that I go. We'll see. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have Hansl do some crafting, as he will take the pigment and try and combine it with an item we've not yet tried that with yet. So here's the combo, although once you see the item I'm getting, it's going to be pretty obvious what I combined. Yeah, very fun. This test was a success. I have created a talisman. And here's the item I've created. Really interesting about this, this is a really good item, is that there are 2 configurations. I could have combined this with the pigment, and only one of them results in this. So don't know what the other does. Could test it out, but I think what I'm going to do right now is I do see... spoiler alert, unavoidable here. I do see the moon symbol there. Moon is the current item, so I think if I have it correct, I can interact. I am interacting with this card. So does that mean I can look this up in the codex? Let me find out. So yeah, this is really interesting. It definitely is an omen I can interact with. I did. I should also mention I was going to pass this item to Gretel because Hansl already has a talisman. I wanted to give her one. She has a talisman no more, as You can see I ended up with outcome B. I have to give up the talisman, but she has got a permanent +1, so she's now got a 7 might, which is very cool. I did not draw these numbers in such a way that they were easily erasable, but I'll try my best. And as a result of this, I have also completed the Seek the Omens goal. So you can see here that I'm going to gain a couple of lore, and everyone is going to gain a 2 bonus to their awareness in this case, which Gretel already maxed out, but Hansl will happily take that. And I have to look up what the sky sign is because I don't see a symbol there, but yet another illustration on my cave wall. Now, I kind of like that the Moonblood Talisman, so I'm going to get one back. What I'm going to do is, I've got all these shells. I'm going to grind one of them, which I know will give me pigment. That does cost an energy. And then I will spend an energy to craft. So in this case, again, just combining, I've got another moonstone. I'll combine that with the pigment, which will get me the talisman back. We'll give that to Gretel. I will not investigate it. I also need to give myself that extra lore. And now, I think, moved by all of these happenings, Gretel is going to go exploring instead of Hansl, and she is going to head up into that mountainous forested terrain we got a glimpse of in a dream. Her faithful pup will follow along as we reveal the tile and head in and reveal a journey card. This would be an arduous journey as I'm crossing over the mountains and it was not a match. That said, I'll use my rope, so I need to make a might test. I just need to make an 8 or higher. I'm already at a 9, so that is incredibly good. I don't even have to be boosted to be able to use the rope. All right, so kind of having explored this, I will... wondering if I should do some mining, but no, I'm just going to continue on. I can always come back this way. Let's see what's over here and flip over that tile. So this is a pretty interesting tile that I've not seen before. This funky volcano looking thing is just a moraine with a lake in it, but not available to me as that's got the glacier over it. The other spaces here are, just dried flats here. Now here there's both dried flats and a chasm, and interestingly, that crack in the ice looks a lot like the star omen. Once the star omen is up, right now we're still on the moon, I'll definitely have to investigate. But for now, I'm just going to go in the tile and draw a journey card. Well, it would be another arduous journey, but once again, I can use the rope. It seems awfully powerful. I guess when you have a 7 might and it's an automatic success, that is pretty good. I do not lose any energy. We've successfully explored. At this point, I think I just want to go home. Kind of report back my findings. I do have an opportunity to do a bit of stuff on the way. Also, when I was looking up information about what was on this tile, right, I checked the codex just to be clear on what the different elements were. I was also checking for this. This is actually listed in there. That is a glacier tile, and it has a forest feature as well. So, and it had the rules for getting water from a glacier. Not too hard to do if you have fire, but also not a requirement right now, as plenty of other places we can get water. Again, I think with my rope, since I can safely make my way back. The other interesting thing I could do right now, I could go on a delve. And as long as I go deep enough, I can come out over here. So that might be a fun way of going about doing things. Could be fun, but my torch isn't lit, and a little dangerous going down in. It'll certainly be good going the other way around, right? So if I want to get from this tile to here, I could delve over this way. And so perhaps I'll do that with the next challenge. For now, I am just going to walk back. I don't have the fishing hook, so that I left behind. So I can't go fishing. Do we need to pick up food? we have food too, so pretty good shape, but I could stop somewhere on my way back. Just cost 2 energy. So I think one last thing I'm going to do, and I am going to finish off this day, is I have a bunch of lore. It resets to 0, so I'm going to go ahead and research a couple of structures. Again, it doesn't cost any energy. I'm going to do the rain catcher, just because that sounds useful, sounds like it could be portable, and especially if I'm thinking of moving my shelter to a place where there's not water. And I don't know if I'm going to do that yet, but I do want to keep the option open. Be nice if I have some other way of gathering, storing water. Don't know how it works. Haven't looked at the other side. As I said, I'm not going to do that until I actually research it. And then the Shrine of the Beasts, I mean, I have all these beasts, so it seems appropriate. So I'm going to go ahead, and I'll throw up the spoiler warning now. If you don't want to see what these do, I'm just going to flip them over now. So keep looking away if you don't want to be spoiled, but if you don't mind seeing, there you go. That's what they do. And yeah, I'll work on trying to get the rain catcher into play and the Shrine of the Beasts perhaps sometime in the future at our next outpost. Now, for the rain catcher, I've got the brick, I've got the wood, and I have pitch, which I can process. What I don't yet have is the fiber or the hide. So let's see if I can get my hands on those. Hansl was 5 energy, or 3 energy left, is going to spend 2 of it to go on a hunt. And that hunt did not go as I'd expected or hoped, as I got jumped by a predator. So now I'm going to have to fight it the old-fashioned way. I can fight it with dexterity. So I've got a 6. I've got my loyal companion here in case I do get injured. Need a 6. Don't even have the right weapon for a reroll, but we'll give it a shot. Here we go. So close. A 5, but that is an 11. So I am going to take a major injury. And again, kind of going the dusk rule. And I think this ability of my pet is great to be able to prevent an injury. But I think in this case, I almost want to treat it like 2 injuries. So I'll just downgrade. So instead of Hansl breaking something, he has just injured something instead. So bad, but not quite as bad. That was unsuccessful. He's just got 1 energy left. So he's just going to gather water. Gretl, sensing there might be some problems back home, she's been gone for a while, is going to go ahead and journey and start to make her way back. Well, this has proven to be a rather difficult journey. Let's see how she does, as she currently has an awareness score of 6. It is boosted by 2. So plus a 5 is 11. She would lose an energy, but I've got my trusty rope to help me find my way along. So I don't get completely lost. I don't lose an energy. And now just one more journey as we head back home. Now, before Gretl comes home, she's going to try and find some fiber in the woods. I'll at least have it. Maybe I can hold on to that. So let's try our luck. Hopefully not run into a predator. She'll spend 2 energy, and if only I had a bow and were better at hunting. But I would need a 6 to take this guy down, so instead I will just go ahead and harvest from the trees. I think I got to start here with a nest and get a feather, then I can go here, and as well as here also get some mushrooms. So a couple of mushrooms, 3 wood, and some vines. Next up, I'll have her go on a journey to get home, and this would be an arduous journey from the card I drew, but once again, I've got the rope. I'll then shuffle some stuff around and spend her penultimate energy to do some processing. At this point, just thinking about things I might want for the future, obviously the fiber, and as well as the moonstone. And sure, we'll convert this as well, and I've got all the tools I need to do that. At this point, almost done for the day. I will go ahead and use Human's Best Friend. It can be any character. It doesn't have to be the one they're bonded to degrade a malady. So Hansl, already feeling better, really wants to get back out there and hunt again. Do I go another round? I feel like I've already done so much. I mean, I would have to hang on to all 4 of these resources of only the 10 I'm able to hold on to. Um, I guess at that point, it's kind of play the game at your pace, decide, am I really, how much do I want to stretch this out? Honestly, I'm thinking I do want to up the challenge a little bit, and one of that things is variable at the end of the turn. Potentially the activity level could go up high. So I think in that, I do have one more action. I could process some more materials. I could try crafting something. I do have one open spot. Still not going to get to hold on to everything, but maybe I can try one more combination. Spending my last action to craft, and going to try and do something with Moonblood. I do want to have the silver be the first because that is how I discovered the talisman. So I will combine these 2 things, and the result is a success, as I have crafted a rather fine item. And yeah, this is a crazy good item, as you can see here, having crafted the Moonblood knife. So that definitely going to be one of the 5 items I hold on to. But that said, even though that's made me really good at hunting, I am going to call it a day for now, both in this actual day. I'll quickly run through the night phase, and then I'm going to end this challenge and see what comes next. Also, this is a chance for me to show you just one other mechanic, as I currently now have 5 hand items, but because I use the pigment, I only have 7 pack items between my 2, so I have 1 open pack slot. So what I can do is I can actually take any of my hand items, I'll take the torch, and I can pack it. So it is now, it is stored in Hansl's pack in one of his 4 open slots. It's just face down, so you can shuffle things around at night, or you can spend an energy to unpack. And again, I think you just might be able to unpack for free when you're in an outpost. But I will check all those rules for next time. Let's go into the night phase. Once again, everyone is fully fed and watered and fired. So, and in the case of Hansl, since he is both eating and drinking, he will degrade his malady. He is feeling sick no longer. We will remove these. We'll degrade the fire. And do have to resolve a couple of night events. But just because I can, I'll use the Moonblood Talisman. I can gain a +2 boost to an attribute, so we'll bump up Dexterity. And if only I'd had that before. So that said, we'll now go ahead and draw the night events. Well, we've got some flooding coming in, but this could be an opportunity. We'll start with Hansl's Dex check. He's at a 6. Yeah, he got a 12 or higher. And now for Gretel, she is also at a 6 with the boost. That's going to bump up to a 7. All right, well, Gretel rolled the bad result. Fortunately, that result, which is really bad, you would lose a random structure, only happens if everyone gets that result. But with the 12, and only one character has to get it, Hansl is inspired. He has learned how to... He has an idea for dugout canoes. So, again, spoiler alert, I'm going to show you the other side now. So it's another mobile item that provides a really potentially interesting ability, especially as the map starts to get bigger. So, yeah, we'll have to set that aside and maybe rethink what we build next time. Also, I just realized that I never marked off the 6 lore that I spent earlier to do some research. So I've done that now. That, of course, that one I just got for free. One more night event for Gretel. When it rains, it pours. First the flooding, then comes the hail. I thought it might be the other way around, but fortunately, we're in very good shape here. Well, more or less. Yeah, we do get the +4 for the shelter. So Hansl, who is boosted, normally just a 3, he's at a 5. +4 is 9, so he's fine. Rolling, and he's even better than fine. And then for Gretel, she's currently at an 8, so we'll degrade one of those. 8 + 4 is 12. Yeah, she did fine as well. Hey, they both got some water. Last thing I'll do for the day is up the activity level to 14, and as I said, I am going to call it there. I will just now, I'm not going to end the video just yet because I am going to go through the process of cleanup, deciding what items to keep, show you what cards are coming into play. So let me get all that organized, and then we'll see how things end up. All right, so you can see here I went back to the ending of the challenge, having completed Build a Village. We've got a foothold in the valley. As I said, we can end at the end of any day. We're ending now, even though I probably should stick around a little bit longer. I think we're good. So a couple things are going to happen here. I'm going to gain 4 population, so I'll go up to 12. I've already reset my activity to 0 and my lore to 0. That's where I'll start for the next challenge. And I get to add a couple of looming challenges and a goal. So we've got a peaceful season and buried coals may yet burn. So here you can see a peaceful season is a development challenge, a chance to develop further. It's generational, which means going into the next one, Hansl and Gretl will both age. They're young now, so they'll be old in the next one. They'll still stick around. So that's one option I've got. So now the other new challenge I've been given is buried coals may yet burn. You can see this is a peril challenge. I don't have to do it. It's still optional. It's also generational. However, if by the end of the epoch 1 in this case, I don't complete this, then, well, bad things are going to happen. So I may want to decide to do this. Don't necessarily have to do it right away, though. Now, there are a couple of other development challenges I have looming from earlier. Harvests of Tomorrows is the one I picked up from my herbalism work. And finally, if I want to delve into some expansion material and cooking from Meals and Myths, I could choose the Feast for the Ages challenge. Whatever challenge I choose, a Trail of Mysteries will be a new ongoing goal that shows up. And the other 2 goals I have not yet completed are also ongoing, the Hunter's Trial and Seek the Tangle. So those are both options that I can explore as well. That's it. Not going to make those decisions now. I'm going to set all those cards aside. There is one more thing I have to do, which is I have to clear some tokens off the map, and I can only keep 5 items per character and 5 materials per character, and that includes from all the items or materials I have stored. Cannot keep them stored. I kind of have to pool them all together and decide what to hold on to. So in terms of tokens removed, the overlays stay, but fire and shelter, those go away. So we'll have to reestablish those. Not too hard given that I've got the fire pit and I left the cave so I could still build the shelter. Unfortunately, since I'm going generational and not seasonal, I am going to lose both of my pets. And I realize now that it wasn't clear to me. I think I'm going to have to wait for them to just show up again in the deck. I can't just start with pets. I'll double check. But because I think I was a little confused by this card, which says that at the start of any day, I can put that challenge back into play. What I realize now is that is probably something I should have done, because by completing that challenge a second time, I actually gain a mantle out of it. And obviously I did not do that, so that's okay. Still plenty more to explore. Perhaps we'll meet some new animal friends next time around. All right, so now going through the characters, I do have to remove all of their bonus tokens. And here's everything I've decided to keep. 4 of the goods towards building the rain catcher, and then some wood to get fire started. Over on this side, I decided to hold on to the bow and arrow along with a couple of hardened wood to keep that going, as well as some other processed materials. Just save me a step of not having to process them next time. I held on to all my clothing items because those are pretty neat. And, some items I can get back, like the axe. Well, before I do that, I'll probably go mining first, so I can use the Riverstone pick, take the advantage, get the extra stuff. Then I can make the axe before I get wood for the first time. Got my basket, and so on. Yeah, I'm going to have to make some items back again, but that's part of the fun of the game and the management of it. So, All that said, that is the end of the first challenge. So that is going to do it for this episode of Stonesaga. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, if you got this far, give me a like, subscribe if you haven't. Anybody else you think might be interested in checking out the channel, let them know. And of course, I really appreciate your comments, your thoughts, whether they're, hey, you got this wrong, or things you liked about the game or are interested in. Let me know. If you have any suggestions for future videos, and how I go about doing this, the way I format things, the way I do information, by all means, let me know. After this video, I'm probably going to go back to my Gloomhaven series for a bit, but if there's enough interest, let me know. Then I certainly plan on playing more Stonesaga, and if you want me to record it, I will absolutely do so. But otherwise, as always, until next time, and thanks for watching.